Whereas there's no promise that he had to bring us out, all of us, from Europe. There's no such thing. It does say that he's going to bring us all out of exile, but there's no timeline on that.
But it's not individuals. Like, there's no promise that Rabs is going to be brought out of exile. It's the Jewish people as a whole will eventually be redeemed.
Yeah, we're all going to be redeemed, but there's no time limit on this at all. He didn't say, like, you know, by 1945, I've got to get all these people out of there. And you brought up a good point, by the way. I like that medrash that says that 80% of the people died, 80% of the Jews died in Mitzrayim, and they didn't come out, because that works very well with the. There you go. There's, you know, even though he said he's bringing them all out, those who wanted to stay got killed.
Glory in Judaism is rewarding the righteous and punishing the wicked. That's what we think is glorious. Glory in much of America and the Western world is having compassion for the wicked and giving them therapy and rehabilitation and loving them and making movies about them.
Why do you think that is?
Part of it's Christianity.
That was my thing. It's all Christianized. Christianized. We live in a Christianized society, right? And the whole Christian concept of turning the other cheek, and they're very big into forgiveness, right? And all this stuff. These are not Jewish concepts.
Yeah.
Jews are all about justice.
Yeah.
Right? Justice is, like, you know, down the middle.
Yeah.
On one side you have Gevurah, which is very judgmental. On the other side you have Chesed, which is very, or Rahmanas or whatever, and it's very sympathetic. And you've got to find a balance between the two. You know, you wanna love the person, but you also gotta hate. You know, you did something bad, right?
Right.
So you gotta, like, balance it. Christians, like, don't have that. It's like turn the other cheek, you know, and just love everybody and all this stuff, and, like, there's no justice there. There's no justice, and that's why I'll feel like compelled to just let people back on the street, and you got to feel sorry for the criminal and the defendant and all this crap.
And another advantage of just being all about love and compassion is you don't have to make moral judgments. So you can just say, oh, I'm just going to love, I'm just going to have compassion, and then you don't have to think and go, okay, should I be reacting sternly here, and should I be reacting gently here? No, you're just like, oh, you just love. And that way you don't have to make moral judgments, and you don't have to stand up and fight evil people.
Right.
So in many ways it's easier just to love.
You know, it's a great case in point would be this murder that went down on the other day.
In Tucson?
In Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
How would Judaism approach this?
Well, put the guy to death.
Wait. Don't just make a blanket statement. What would be the process?
Well, find out if he did it and then punish him.
How would they find out if he did it?
Witnesses.
Witnesses. How many witnesses do you need?
2.
2 witnesses, right? When would they show up, these 2 witnesses, with this guy? When would this all go down?
Quickly.
Quickly. And from the time that the 2 witnesses came in and testified, right, and they pesached in to the time this guy's dead, how long is the entire process?
A few hours. A day.
No, let's let it be. You know, everybody's going to, like, talk to their rabbis and, like, you know, we got to schedule time for the beis din, whatever. Let's just say within a month this guy would be dead.
Yeah.
This guy's dead in 1 month. Right? Is there room to, like, say, oh, he didn't know what he was doing, blah, 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 you know, and some crazy, you know, Twinkie thing that they're going to come up with, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to use a Twinkie excuse. It's gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Would that fly in a beis din?
No.
No. So what? Basically, this guy's going to be killed. There's enough witnesses there, and it's going to be within a month from now. This guy's no longer going to be living, right?
Right.
You watch. We're going to be doing this show 20 years from now. This guy's still going to be alive.
Yeah.
This guy is not going to be put to death. Even though it's a federal crime and it carries capital punishment, this guy's still going to be alive in 20 years. I guarantee it.
So after the drowning in the sea, Egyptians no longer play a role in the Torah. Egypt no longer plays a role in the Torah. Egypt is important in the Torah as a metaphor for Israel needs to leave this foreign land and with its foreign ways. It's not Egypt, the country, that matters to the Torah. It's so much it's Egypt as what it represents as a value system and as a foreign way of living.
What do you mean by Egypt is no longer in the Torah?
Well, Egyptians no longer play a role in the Torah.
What do you mean by no longer play a role?
Well, where are there Egyptian characters that come into the story after this?
Where are their Egyptian characters?
Yeah.
And how far do you want to go forward?
For the 5 books of Moses.
For the 5 books of Moses.
Mm-hmm.
So just like Prager, the Torah is reduced down to 5 books.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's your world. Torah means 5 books.
Didn't say it's my word. I said when I say the Torah.
Because when I say the Torah, I mean all of the oral Torah.
Sometimes you mean that, and sometimes you mean the 5 books.
No, I never mean the 5 books. If I
Oh,
say
so when we're going to say we're going to have a Torah reading this Shabbat, and
we're going to read from the
Torah.
But
that's part of the 5
No,
books.
no, but that's
it
not the
doesn't
same.
mean we're going to read the Mishnah. We're going to read the Talmud.
No,
we're gonna
because we're not going to read all of it. We're not going to read all of it. We're going to read from the Torah. I never said we're going to read all of the Torah. If I said we're going to read all of the Torah and we read all 5 books and stopped, we did not read all the Torah. We read all the written Torah.
So you don't distinguish between laws that are derabanan and deraisa?
There really isn't, and I'll tell you why. Unless you're being like very specific, like you're learning that halacha and you're saying, well, Midoraisa we do this, but Midorabanan we talk on that. But the truth is, the Midorabanan ones have the magnitude and the force, the weight of Deraisa on them. So there really is no difference, because one of the 613 is that the rabbis are allowed to make takanas, and those takanas are treated as if they came from Sinai, because it says that you should not turn to the right or to the left of those halachas. It says that in Devarim.
So there'd be no difference for you if you had to make a choice between violating a law that was deraisa versus derabanan.
That's the one case that you can start, differentiating. You say, well, it's Shabbos, and we gotta go to the hospital or something. So they'll say, oh, okay, well, try to just do like the Rabbanadika things, but not the Deraisa things, right? You can start doing that. But if you don't have like a reason like that, right, then no. Which incidentally is like the whole thing, like that's when you get hefters. Hefters are always for things that are Rabbanan. They're almost never for things that are Deraisa. They're always for things that are Rabbanan.
Well, masturbation is deraisa.
No, masturbation is Rabbanan. We talked about that. Do you pay attention to anything?
I'm sure there are different perspectives on the question.
The Rabbanan thing. What was the whole problem of masturbation? Is it's a gezerah of coitus interruptus.
Mm-hmm.
Coitus interruptus is a deraisa.
Mm-hmm.
That we're not allowed to do because it causes pain or whatever to the woman. Masturbation, I said, is a gezerah that you may come to do coitus interruptus. That's purely from the rabbis. It's not deraisa. There hasn't. You know what? There's never been a time that you remembered anything that I told you. I can't remember any time you come back and saying, Rabs, you quoted this thing before. You only just forget things that I tell you.
It's not about forgetting. It's just don't assume that everyone who's watching this video at this moment has watched every single.
No, I don't care about them. I care about you. How come you can't hold on?
Well, I care about them. I'm not.
You don't remember anything I tell you. You don't care. You don't care. It goes in one ear and out the other. What does Esther say? Yeah, but that's your opinion, not God's, right? What is that one? Oh, she's talking to somebody else? All right, go ahead.
In the Midrash, God reproves the angels for preparing to sing about the drowning of the Egyptians.
Right.
But the Jews are not berated for singing a big song. So there's nothing wrong with celebrating the death of the wicked.
Can I just point out something on that?
Mm-hmm.
I just talked about that today on my Facebook. It's not the Midrash. Where did you hear that it was the Midrash?
Well, it's famous that like the angels are about to bust.
Yeah. It's blah 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 blah. It's in the Talmud, Sanhedrin 39b and Megillah 10b.
Well, the Midrash is part of the Talmud.
Not really. It's a separate sefer. Separate sefers.
So Miriam is a prophet. If women can be prophets, then surely they can be rabbis. A prophet is a more prestigious role than prophet. Prophet has a divine role. They are ordained by God. Rabbis are not prophets, they're just teachers. Isn't this a kal v'chomer? So if a woman can be a prophet, which is much more prestigious than a rabbi, surely then a woman can be a rabbi.
Speaking of things that I explain going in one ear and out the other, and you don't pay attention to things I say and you don't remember them, this would be a classic example, because back in August 30th, I spent 3 full